station of unlimited possibilities, presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, 6-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLC. Tonight, we have an amazing special VIP guest by the name of Dr. Nicole Garner Scott. A little bit about her. Dr. Nicole Garner Scott is a highly sought-after serial entrepreneur, finance expert, and coach. She launched Amount Financial Services, which positioned her as a thought leader, teacher, speaker, and nationally recognized money expert. Through her company and digital financial membership platform that caters to thousands, Nicole's mission is to help create financial breathing room for households of underrepresented communities and realistic wealth plans to fit any budget while focusing on legacy building and generational wealth. Dr. Nicole Garner Scott has served as a TEDx speaker and has spoken for Fortune 500 companies and businesses including Turner Broadcasting, CNN, Georgia State Capitol, the White House Entrepreneurship Demo Day, Essence, a host of colleges and universities, churches, women empowerment conferences, and more. When she's not working with individuals, Nicole lends her expertise as a consultant, helping both established companies and startups forge meaningful connections with wealth-positive individuals hungry for knowledge and adding her level of cultural sensitivity to provide true impact. Her clients include Charlie Finance, Operation Hope, State Farm, and more. As a professional speaker who helps aspiring and emerging speakers to take their message to the masses, and as a conference plus live event producer, I understand the complexity of securing the perfect speaker for your event. I've been speaking at conferences, colleges, corporations, nonprofits, and churches for over 15 years. Whether it's a small training, an intimate, multi-day women's retreat, event panel, church, or an arena filled to the brim, every opportunity to share is special, important, and a part of my mission in sharing financial education to our communities. Welcome to the table, the amazing Dr. Nicole Garner Scott.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. I'm excited to have you here because I consistently follow you doing some amazing things, and I would just love for you to share your entrepreneur journey with the listeners.
Sure. So, journey, do you mean how I got into entrepreneurship or
yes.
Where I am now? Okay.
Yes, how you got into it. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I like to say for me, entrepreneurship started really, really early in life. I was definitely like the candy lady in the neighborhood. I was trying to figure out how to sell any and everything out of my parents' garage. It's just, that bug struck me very, very early. And I was blessed to have some parents that could help guide that in the right direction. Because, once you start really having like an appreciation for money and finance when you're young, it could go left very quickly if you don't have, people steering you in the right direction. So they definitely help cultivate that. And I was very, very adamant on working for myself and putting an open lane in front of me in regards to how I can kind of create my life. And so I saw it. And so went to college, went to Georgia State University in Atlanta, Georgia, and really had some great mentors, had some opportunities to start in the world of PR. That's when Atlanta was kind of turning the tide and becoming the city that everybody knows it today. So it was right then that I had some great internships with like Def Jam South when they opened the office there, a radio station, and just got a chance to make some really good connections very young. And my last internship was working with an agency that had Delta Airlines as a client. And we were doing this campaign that really focused and fostered getting young African-American boys interested in the space of aviation. So it was me helping to seek out the different boys to enroll in the program, getting press on that program, We did this big trip where we flew them all out to the Aviation Smithsonian in D.C. They got a chance to like work one-on-one with the pilots. It was just a really beautiful program, and it was something that I was extremely excited about. It was like near and dear to my heart because I felt like these boys would have never gotten a chance to even consider aviation before this because there's so many, barriers to entry. And so it was the end. I was getting close to graduating. It was the end of that project, and the agency was like, you're way more passionate about this. You put your all into it. We want to actually hire you out to continue running the account. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. Not really knowing what that means. And so they were like, okay, we'll connect you over to our accounting department. I got connected over. The accounting department was like, we need your W-9, we need your tax information, your bank account information, and we'll to add you as a vendor in our system. And once you get the contract signed, we'll be ready to go. And so I was like, great. That's this is excellent. This is my big shot. This is what I'm here to do. Hung up with them. Got on Google and was like, what the heck is an EIN number? How do I set up a bank account? Like, I didn't know these things. I knew my talent and I knew my craft of, doing marketing and PR at that time, but I had no idea how to get the business side rolling. So I developed the business as I was building and starting the business at the same time. So it was a drastic jump into the world of PR, into the world of entrepreneurship. But that's how I got my start. And then from there, my next larger client was the late Kim Porter, who was a beautiful client to work with. And that just started to expand into, more opportunities and things of that nature. And that is how I did the Garner Circle PR, which today we now have the national account for Hyundai. We do a lot of things for Essence Fest and those things. But then in the last few years, I got really, really intentional about just the impact I wanted to leave on this earth. Like, what did I want to leave behind? What was my legacy want to be? And I felt really led to deal more with communities of color and with women in the space of finance. Just being in business so long, I started doing some coaching and working with different women and things of that nature. And in a lot of those coaching sessions, I thank God to this day that people are very transparent with me, but we would be, they would come in saying, how can I grow my business? How can I scale it? How do I brand? And in the midst of it, it would be like, if I don't get this to work, I'm going to get evicted from my home because I'm, so far behind on payments. Or if I can't make this business work, I'm going to lose my boutique. Just all these different things. And I started seeing it wasn't a how to build your business and make it brighter and shinier issue that a lot of people are having. It was a money issue of managing cash flow and understanding funding and how your finances work between personal and business and, just all those different things. And so I really delved into getting the certifications and the know-how to really help out in that space because I felt like everyone was being so quiet about finances. Like, it was this big facade across our communities on a global level on, everybody's doing good and everybody's fine and everybody's, making it happen. But behind closed doors, everyone was, hurting in some capacity, either from mistakes they made as younger or mistakes their family has made that's still affecting them, or, life happens and just adult things kind of take you off track. And, I just felt like if there was a space for people to talk and communicate it more with some guidance, then, I would be serving my purpose better on this earth. And so that is what got me to the space of being a serial entrepreneur and opening Amount Financial.
I love it, Dr. Scott. So let's talk about your passion with creating financial breathing room for households of underrepresented communities. So could you tell us more about that? And I know you have created some amazing initiatives and movements to help our underrepresented communities to understand our finances better.
Yeah, so I'll start with kind of what even started me in this journey. When I was younger, being in Atlanta, I came from a community called College Park, so probably like lower middle class to low income type community. And so I was exposed to Black people being wealthy because I could see it in the city, but it wasn't necessarily the conversations that were happening inside my home or the knowledge that was being, bestowed on me on a daily basis. And so when I got to college, I had this roommate, and it was one time for spring break. We went to her home, and in her home, her family was talking about the family business, and while she was home, they needed to update the will, and if she, while we were out and about, because she stopped by and visit with the wealth planner, so they could talk about some things with the estate. And they were just having all these conversations, and everything was going over my head. I was like, okay, so what is a will, and what is a family estate? I don't ever remember talking about that, growing up, and how amazing is it they have a family business. So she said all she has to do is just finish school, and she's set, whereas, once I finish school, I got to figure out, okay, so what do I do now? It was just I was just opened up to a lot of things, which planted seeds in me, where I started realizing that there were questions and topics that I wouldn't even know to ask about because I didn't even know that I didn't know that stuff. And I started realizing at a younger age that there was a whole nother level to financial literacy, a whole nother level to understanding that I needed to get exposed to. And so, through mentorship and just being very intentional about being exposed to a lot of things, I was able to create opportunities for me and my family that, just open up the doors and open up everybody's mindsets all across the board. So, like, even right now, me and my family, we have, like, a family LLC, and we're getting ready to do some investments as a family, and just some things we probably never would have considered because my family comes from, a hush-hush, like, we don't discuss money or what's in your pockets or, that they come from that type of mindset. And I pretty much had to come in and kick the whole door down, like, I don't need surprises later on in life. We got to talk about everything now. Like, that's the only way we can eradicate generational curses. And so, I really started seeing that there was this large gap, even if you're doing well, like even if you were a wealthy family, in communities of color, it's still so many other barriers to entry. Like there's so much bias that is taking place, like in the financial space. So through my company, Amount Financial, we do money coaching, and that was so important to me to offer because, if you get a wealth planner, you have to be making, high six figures, seven figures for them to even take you on as a client. So, because that's how they make their money. So basically it was like, hey, it's not even worth us to sit down and talk to you and give you advice unless you're already rich. And I was like, well, shoot, how do you get rich without the wealth planner and the guidance, and the information? It was just a big cycle that I kept seeing, and that is why I talk about understanding, like, cultural sensitivities and, things that need to just open up more in our communities and our spaces, and it, really drives my passion in regards to that. And so because of, historic and data and everything that's happened, it's not like I could just wake up and equal out the playing field, but I can show people that there is a lot more to know, and knowing more at least gets you in a better space, in a better position. It's kind of like how we thought that our society was in a way more progressive space, and then, with the politics and recent elections and all of that, it was like, oh, wow, I didn't know we were still in the same, space. It was like a wake-up call for a lot of people. And so I aim to be that wake-up call, just for a lot of people in our community in regards to financing, especially because it's so much new money. So new money, it's not like you have the guidance of former generations to understand, like, the cycle of money, and, to even have the beauty of having properties in your name or in your family's names for, over a century, and all these, other things that a lot of the generations have passed down in mainstream markets. So just kind of really opening the eyes and ears and minds to there's so much more knowledge and so many more doors we have to open to really get to a point of wealth building.
And you spoke about everything I'm about to ask you tonight, with the generational curses and just creating that legacy. So what are some strategies that you would give to listeners about creating legacy? Like, what are some strategies that stand out to you for those listeners that are, either they're building it right now or they're looking to start doing it, So.
Mm-hmm. You said, can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
So what are some strategies you would give to listeners about creating legacy? So it may be for that listener that is working on building it right now, and it could be for, strategy for the listener that is trying to figure out how to start doing it, start investing and start creating that legacy.
Sure. So I always say, first and foremost, it depends on what level you are as far as understanding, but whatever level you are on, it's still so many more levels to go. So one, just kind of assessing where you are. Two, really understanding the basics. So if that, if you feel like, hey, I didn't come from a family that talked about this, I don't have a lot of exposure to this, I would really start with a book. I would start with some finance books to really just, at least so you'll start to understand the vocabulary being used, or that you understand some of the terminology. So you don't feel overwhelmed. It's like, okay, I get it. I know what an IRA is. I know what the difference between a Roth. I understand, like, a tax shelter. I understand what my portfolio is. It's just some of the words that you feel like you at least understand what's transpiring. If you've already passed that point, I feel like that's when you start to, work with people that are knowledgeable in that space. So if you want to get into the investment space, I always say to work with an investment specialist, to really help assess what you have, what's the risk to you. I can't tell everyone, hey, go jump into real estate, and one person has an emergency savings of, $50,000 in the bank, and another person has $2,000, because it's, investment is always risky. So that person who risks and they only have like $2,000 to cover them, that could be detrimental for them. Whereas that person that's 50, they're able to play around with a few things and and all of that. So definitely seeking professionals in that space, investment person, having an accountant is very important if you're running a business. I meet so many entrepreneurs that don't have accountants and don't have good bookkeeping, and yet they want to go on Shark Tank and, go to all these competitions and sell their businesses, and everybody wants to know what your financials are. That's the first thing that comes up. How have you been managing your money? Before you manage my money, before I give you money, how have you been managing your money? So making sure you have those things in place. Making sure that you, really sit down and figure out your mission as a family, or your mission, in your home. What is it? What is the mission statement that you guys are provided to this world? So, like for my family, we do it for our last name. How can we make sure that we plant the seeds that the generations we haven't even met, the children that haven't even been born yet, can still benefit from the decisions that we make today? And so when you create something like that, even though it might seem like cliche or minuscule, but if you hold yourself to that standard, then you make decisions, surrounding that, which is very key as well. Also, me and my partner for the campaign, Legacy or Lose, have created some really great things. So myself and Arian Simone, who is the founder of the Fearless Fund and the Fearless Foundation, we got together and created a campaign called Legacy or Lose, which really helps to drive awareness. We both came across a statistic. I'm not sure if you saw it, but a statistic that was released early last year that just talks about if the financial trends continue the way that they are, that by 2053, the median black family net worth will be at $0. And she read that and was disturbed. I read that and was disturbed. But we didn't see any noise happening. And we didn't see people being like, oh, my gosh, like this is serious. And so we were like, at this point, we're not going to just talk about it or, be disturbed within the confinement of our four walls. How can we do something about it? And that's when we came up with Legacy or Lose. And so our mission with Legacy or Lose is to expose, educate, and inform over 100,000 people of color in 2020 to have financial literacy education. And we partner with a black-owned startup called Capway to facilitate the education. They have a beautiful app and online program that caters to middle school, high school, college, adult, seniors, in regards to disseminating financial information in a way that it hasn't been done before. So we're raising funds to sponsor people through that program, and then we're also partnering with national organizations, just across all spectrums to really hone in and say, we have to at least start from the education space and, make it a larger issue. That's more than just a singular person issue. It's us as a whole, and we got to, do things to get that going. So you can either purchase a shirt, a Legacy or Lose shirt, and that proceed will go to putting a person through the financial program, or you can become a legacy holder and sponsor a school entirely or sponsor a church or organization entirely in regards to that. So, yeah, it's been a journey that we are very committed to seeing and just really helping. We do a lot of education through that, too. Like we have a starter guide on how to start to prepare yourself to create your legacy worth leaving, and how to really put things in place for generational wealth. I know you remember last year when Aretha Franklin passed and she didn't have her will in place, and everybody was so shocked. But that's so many families, across the nation. And when you don't have your will in place, when you don't have your things outlined in a formal manner, then you leave it up to the government to decide how your funds are dispersed or how your properties are left behind or who gets what, and it's not your will anymore. So those are just things we talk about from an education perspective.
And I just love everything about that campaign that you all are doing. So for our listeners that are listening, definitely get involved with Legacy or Lose. That was actually my next question for you, Dr. Scott. And I'm so glad that you brought it up and spoke about it, because that is an amazing campaign that I know is going to help a lot of people, right, get on track and start creating that generational wealth and legacy. So do you think it is the lack of knowledge or bad spending habits that's keeping our underrepresented communities from creating generational wealth?
I don't think it's just lack of knowledge. Like it's definitely systematic. Like knowledge was purposely kept, and financial institutions and other things were built to keep it from being a level playing field. So I can't just say like, hey, if you just knew better, you would do better. That's speaking to say that there's not so many things that are working against our communities in regards to that space. But I feel like I do speak on the education side because so many of us don't even know we're not doing well. There's so much liquid money happening, right? So if you come to any major city, like if you came to Atlanta, it looks like black people are balling, like doing it. They are fancy cars, red bottoms, name brand bags, living in condos, etc. But if you really assess their net worth, it would trickle back down to being very minuscule, small percentages again, and if they were to, go through a recession, which we know is coming, or, have a large upset in their finances, they would completely be derailed. And so I like to just keep reminding people of where we really stand and making sure that we're intentional about collectively getting past just the look of wealth and getting more to actual real wealth.
And that is so, so important. And so, because I know you spoke earlier about, even business owners that you met, a lot of them don't have accountants or bookkeepers or anything like that, right? And so, like you said, I guess it doesn't have a specific person, right, when it comes down to creating that generational wealth and legacy, right? I think, there's room for growth for many different people. Do you agree? So
Yeah, totally agree.
Awesome. So you have continued to build multiple tables for yourself, So how did you create your seat at the table? I ask all of my guests this question.
I created my seat at the table by, one, always feeling like I belong there. I never questioned that. My opinion matters, my perspective matters, my experience matters. So it's never like I'm sitting there like, is it okay for me to bring my chair to the table? It's like, of course this chair is mine. We're sitting here. And y'all can move, but I'm here. So that confidence, I feel like is so needed, especially for women, especially for women of color. Just knowing that you belong is very important in itself. And then also, too, I feel like just my purpose was just charged to disrupt, to innovate, to leave this world different than how I came into it. And, I just really want to see us win, like whatever that definition of winning looks like. But, from my PR side, it's telling stories and voices and making sure diversity is felt loud and clear with a lot of the corporate brands we work with. On my financial side is making sure that people are able to grow financially and change their stories, change their money stories, and do things for the long game, play the long game when it comes to how they look at their money. And then just me, just personal, just with my own son, with my husband, with our family, creating. It's just important I have a seat at the table because that gives my son a chance to have a seat at the table, which then gives his family a chance to have a seat at the table. It's like you owe it to your bloodline to sit at the table, because if your input is not considered, then it's erased.
I love that because that's so true. And I just want to thank you for creating those spaces, right? Especially, because you also have your digital company, The 100 Women, correct?
Correct, yes.
So let's talk about that, because you're helping, entrepreneurs be able to build their platform digitally and creating different ways for them to continue to grow in their brands, correct?
Yes. To grow, and to really, there's so many statistics about how quickly women of color are starting businesses and how we're the largest group of entrepreneurs right now, etc. And I'm trying to fill in that gap of how do we stay open? Like, how do we not just start these businesses, but how do we stay open? How do we grow them past being one-woman shows? Or how do we go past this level of just empowerment to actual training and true application of being able to level up? So just trying to fill in the void on what's next in that space, and driving people back to making sure that they keep being profitable front and center. It's you definitely should do what your passion is and what you love, what God has placed in your heart. But there's no reason for you to do it for free, and there's no reason for you to do it at such a price point that you can't even continue the gift that you were called to do. And so, and it was through 100 Female Entrepreneurs that I even came to Amount Financial, because it was just so many women I was dealing with that money was not in their priority list. And when it's not on your priority list, then it doesn't happen. You don't miraculously just make money. Like, you have to be intentional about that, and intentional on how you set up things and how you structure it, and not being so committed to some ideas that are financially draining that you won't pivot. And, just so many different things through that space. So it's a great, I call it a digital girlfriend group, where it's just able to help people keep their bottom line, in focus, and, grow their businesses.
And thanks for creating that space as well, because, you do this actual, you have an event every year behind the 100 Women Conference, right? They come to Atlanta. It's a very huge event. So how do our listeners get involved, and when is the next one for this year?
So we actually have a large initiative we're doing with the City of Atlanta on March 19th, Thursday, March 19th, at City Hall, where we are giving away 100 LLCs on site. So we're taking women who have the idea of business, or who are kind of operating not in a formal space, and formalizing them really quickly on site. So that's our next event.
So make sure you all get involved. You in the Atlanta area, get involved with Dr. Nicole Garner Scott's initiatives that she's doing. She is amazing. So make sure you are there next Thursday on March 19th and you get involved. So we all have a process on our journey, right? And so a lot of people don't like the uncomfortable side of it, but it's part of the process. So what did failure teach you on your journey?
Failure was probably the best teacher you can have. So I'll give you a few things. Failure made me get tighter on my contracts. Failure put me in the space of not being so trusting and allowing people to prove that they will follow through on the work that they committed to. Failure has taught me that if I'm not operating in alignment with what God has for me, it's not going to go right anyway. So, and usually I always feel that gut feeling and I go past it, and it's those times where I've gone past it that have ended up in failure. When it was God telling me from the beginning, this is not what was on the plate, so why are you trying to eat this? And failure has also taught me that it's all cycles, right? You're gonna win sometimes, you're gonna lose sometimes. Like, it's just inevitable. There's not one person that's walked this earth that has won every single time, every day of their life from birth to death. Like, you're going to fail sometimes. And so I think it just reminds you that you're just part of a bigger, you're just part of a bigger cycle that's happening, and not to take it personal. You learn from those moments.
Yes, lessons. So what did success teach you? Because you're very, very successful.
I feel like success taught me that you can really want something, and if you align everything to go after it, it can be accomplished, but you have to fully commit. So the times that I fully committed, I was able to create the end result I wanted to see. But it was definitely fully committing. So if it was like, I want this amount of clients, then I knew that came with a certain amount of hours dedicated to that, intentionally connecting with people, traveling, etc. I couldn't be like, I want these, certain accounts or clients, and then on top of that say, well, I don't feel like getting out the house, or I don't feel like moving tonight, or I don't feel like, doing other things, because then you're negating your opportunity for success right in the moment. So it's definitely, success has shown me that if I, operate on all cylinders in regards to what it takes to get to where I want to go, then it can definitely happen.
Yes, and I just want to commend you again for just, paving the way and just doing the amazing things that you're continuing to do, to create different spaces for financial, the digital space, the brand, helping us, continue to build our brands the right way, and just using your lessons that you've learned to help others. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So what do we have planned for 2020, Dr. Nicole Garner Scott? I mean, I see that you got some amazing speaking opportunities. You are traveling all over the world, and we haven't even finished the first quarter. So what can we expect from you in 2020 that you can tell us right
now? So one, it's for the Legacy or Lose campaign. We have, we're asking everyone to wear their shirts on April 21st, just to show solidarity in regards to us really addressing the reality of the statistic, and, showing that we as a community care about Black wealth and preserving and growing Black wealth. So that's April 21st. I have my MoneyCon conference, which is produced by Mount Financial, taking place in Atlanta, Georgia on April 25th. And so we'll have financial speakers covering everything all across the board to just really put you in a very secure financial space. So, and that's taking place at the Russell Center in Atlanta, Georgia. I have my book coming out in May. It's called Make Space for Wealth. It is being done under the 13th and Joan Publishing House, which is owned by an African-American woman named Audrey Ori. And so that book will be out in May. Very, very excited about that. It's just a culmination of everything I believe in regards to your money journey, your mindset journey, all combined in one. So that'll be out with that. We'll be at Essence Fest this year. Just praying that this whole virus thing, goes away. And so we'll be at Essence Fest this year, doing a lot on the main stage, speaking about just generational wealth and legacy in regards to that. And, and a lot of speaking opportunities. This has been a very blessed year. In 2019, I kind of was sitting down a little bit. I was a new mom. I wanted to capture every moment. I wanted to capture my son's first time crawling. I wanted to capture his first time walking. So I did a lot of things just from behind the computer. And as I got to the end of 2019, I said I'm gonna show up more in 2020. Connect back with people in person, and God opened those doors to make that happen. So 2020, He blessed me with a really great team. Destiny, who you were dealing with, Erica, Hart Vincent, just a lot of people on the team that are helping to make this train move, and they're as passionate about the messages I speak about that I am. And so it's a beautiful thing when you align with people who have all been given the same purpose on their heart. And so we're just showing up all 2020.
Well, super congratulations on all of the amazing things that you are about to do and that you've already done in just two and a half months, Dr. Scott. So just super congratulations. Can't wait to you to publish your book in May. So for our listeners, make sure you stay tuned and go support, publish, her book, the amazing speaking opportunities that she has, and all of these great initiatives. So just super congratulations in advance on all the things that I know that you're about to do in 2020 that you haven't even probably told us.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
And yes, your team is amazing. It was great working with Destiny and getting you, booked for the show. So yes, the team is amazing. So will you please tell us more about how they can follow you, our listeners, how they can follow you on all social media platforms, how they can book you and connect with you?
So mostly everything I do in the financial space is all under Amount Financial. So you can go to Amount Financial, that's AMOUNT, financial.com. And it's Amount Financial all across social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, etc. My personal is Dr. Garner Scott, DRGARNER Scott is my handle on all social media platforms, and my personal website is NicoleGarnerScott.com. So between those two platforms, you can find out everything else I have going on. It'll connect you to Legacy or Lose. It'll connect you to the book tour, all those different things. I just try to keep it all in one good place.
So make sure you follow and support Dr. Nicole Garner Scott and get involved. Book her. Get involved with all of the amazing things that she is doing. She is definitely somebody to know and to connect with. Thank you again, Dr. Scott, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come to the table. This has been a powerful interview, and I can't wait to invite you back to the table.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you again.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. So I would like to give a special thanks to my intern, Sarah, from Tennessee State University, and my intern, Vontaria, from Winston-Salem State University. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.